So vectors are used to um, take multiple values, right? That's what you saw. So there are you can use C to create vectors, right? So we had like C, and we just discussed that, right? It should have same data type. So now if I don't give same data type, if I try to
You
give
convert that one into.
yeah, if I try to be smart, what happened?
It'll convert 2 and 4, 5, 6
E-
into string.
Exactly. Because strings cannot be converted into numbers, but numbers can be converted into string, right?
Yeah.
So it'll convert. So because so R is designed only for machine learning data analytics kind of work. The purpose is data analytics. The reason you create a vector is because you want to store similar elements. Okay.
Mhm.
Otherwise, there is no use. Or you use list. List could store different elements, isn't it? That's what we discussed.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so this is this. Now you can have using built-in methods also. So using built-in, let's say I create vector 2 and I say this is equal to 1, or instead of 1, let's say we say 5:50, right? And then you do vec2, it will take 5 to 50, and these numbers you show, it shows the first, the index of first number. So this 5 index is first, and it has 19 elements here, and this is your 20th element.
Yeah.
So let's say if for some reason you want to count, you don't have to count from here till here to know what is the position of this. You
Yeah.
know that this is 39.
Yeah.
So this must be 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 50. That's how. And counting starts from 1 in R. In Python, counting is always from 0, but in R, counting is always 1. So index is always 1. Not only that, you can even do something like this. So I say 5.4 to, let's make it 30 or something, 0.4. So if I do 35.4 to 30.4, see, you gave 5.4, 6.4, 7.4.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's say instead of 4, if I make it as 8, let's say. Okay. So what it did, it started like 30.4 and stopped. So
Yeah.
it will be either equal to or less than.
Okay.
It will not be more than.
Okay.
It will either be equal to or. You also have option to tell how much to increment. Okay. So let's say I want to start from, so you give start and increment by value. So
Okay.
let's say I declare a vector 3 and I call it as I'm going to create a sequence, right? So I'm going to say sequence, right?
Mhm.
Now your sequence will have 3 values. From where you want to include 5. From where you want to stop 30. And then you have increment. Increment can be anything, any number. 1, 2, 5, 0.9. Okay. Now when I say 0.9, that means starting value is 5 and the next value is 5.9. Correct?
Okay.
So next value would be 5.9. Then 6.8, 5.9 plus 0.9, 6.8 plus 0.9, so on up to 29. Now, if I give here, next number would be 30.7 plus 2 plus 0.2, right?
Mhm.
you get 30.2. Right? So you're telling how much to increase.
Okay, got it.
Right? Okay. Now, how do you access the element? Okay. Now, let's say, let's take vector 1 example only. So I define vector 1 with these values, let's say. Okay. But I don't want to print everything. I want to print a portion of it. So to print portion of it, okay, I have to say vector of square bracket. Okay. And then you pass the elements that you want to print. So I'll say C vector. So this is also vector. Vector because you are passing, you want multiple values, right? So you pass, okay. So you pass like, I want 4. So I'll say 2. I want hello. So I'll say 3. I want 9. 3, 4, 5. So this should be 6. 9. Yeah, right? So 6. So second, third, and sixth element is printed. So vector 1 of square bracket. Indexing is always square bracket. Okay. So in square bracket, you can define a vector because see, anywhere you have to use more than one value, you have to use vector. So you get this. Okay. You can add two vectors, you can multiply, you can divide, you can multiply. All those mathematical operations are available.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say we'll use numbers, individual numbers. So I'm going to say 2, 4, 6, 8. And vector 2 equal to 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And they are same. Now, if I make it 10 here, and now what happens if I try to add vector 1 plus vector 2? So I'll run it. Okay. The longer object. Okay. So you cannot add two different size vector. Okay. So if you want, you make it as 0. Now when you run it, it will add. So element by element addition is happening. And output will also be a vector.
Vector.
Right? So yes. So you can do vec 1 plus minus into division. All these are allowed. Okay.
Okay.
Now, okay. So, I was just thinking. So this is 3 plus 2, 5, correct? 5. Okay, let me copy and paste and then try. Let me add one more value here. Okay. And now I'll just say, okay. What happened? In this case, see, this is vector 1 is 12, has 6 in size, correct? And vector 2 has 1 and 2. That means if you repeat it, okay, if it has to be multiple of this. So the smaller vector, okay, or otherwise you can say the larger vector should have multiple number of elements than the smaller vector. So if your vector size is 2, your main vector can be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 sizes. What it does, it repeats itself. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, it will repeat.
Okay.
So that's why what happened? It became 12 plus 2, 4, 14. 10 plus 1, 11. 8 plus 2, 6 plus 1, 4 plus 2, 2 plus 1. Okay. So R, there's one property of R. It will try not to give you error.
Okay.
Okay. So the thing is, it does everything possible not to give you error. But if it runs out of ideas, then only it will give you error. Now in this case, it says, okay, don't worry. I will repeat it myself to make both the vector equal in size.
Okay.
But when if you give like 5 and 6, like last time, 4 and 5, then 4 cannot repeat. If 4 repeats 2 times, it becomes 8, and that will be only 5. So in such cases, sorry, I cannot do it. Okay. If you have to sort, you simply say, so this anyway I put it in sorted order, right? Let me, okay. I can write another one. Okay. So let's say I make it 18 and 16. So now I can say vector 3 equal to, okay, you say sort vector 1.
How to give ascending or descending to it?
Yes. So by default, it should be in ascending order. Right?
In vector.
Okay. So by default, any sorting, any Python or R or anywhere, by default it is ascending order. Okay. Now if you want in descending order, then there's an option called as decreasing. So I'll do again here, only I'll repeat it. Here you say decreasing equal to true. Sorry, true is like this in R.
Okay.
Then you get in decreasing order. Okay. So this is about your vector. Now quickly we look at the list also. So list we know that let's say, or list we'll call it as list 1 equal to list. Right? And now it can take different data. I can say 55, comma, hello. You can even give a vector inside this. Okay. Doesn't matter. This is your list. So now you run this. So you get these values. Right? We wanted to read, let's say access the element. Now to access, okay, it is exactly the way we did it in vector. Okay. So if I say print list 1 of
1.
okay, 1. So you get 55, right? Now I want multiple values, 1, 3. So you get 1 is 55. Okay. And second element. So this is the second element for this list, new list. Though it is third element in the original list, but in the new list, this is second element only. So you get 2, 4, 6 because this is a vector.
It's not displaying 55. Can you
Sorry.
can you the like last statement again? Just the last one.
No, so this is the last one.
Yeah. So I mean, why is it not displaying 55?
Here, 55.
Okay, display.
List, yeah, list will print in vertical, right? Not horizontal,
Yeah.
just like vector.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you can merge two lists. Okay. So let's say I create list 2 equal to list of 3399. Right? Now merged list equal to vector, and you say list 1 comma list 2. Now you say print merge list. List 2 not right, because I did not run it. Right? You simply put them. So this is your, these are elements from first list and these are from your second list.
Okay.
Now the third data type that we had was matrices. Matrix is two-dimensional, right? So let's see if I have to create mat1, then you have to say matrix. Okay. Only vector had C, but your list has list, your matrix has matrix, and then you pass the values. So I pass 1, 11, 1, 1, 1, let's say, 3 values.
Mhm.
And now I want to say that okay, let me add bigger one. 8, 10, and 12. So now you have 6 elements, right? Okay. So I added 6 elements. And now I'm going to say number of rows. And row equal to
Yeah.
3. So if rows equal to 3, how many columns it would be by itself, by default?
2.
3, yeah, 6 elements, no? 3 by 2, right? Then how will the elements be arranged? I'm saying by row for, that means arranged by column.
Mhm.
So now when I run it, it's going to be 3 rows and 2 columns, right? So you have 3 rows and 2 columns. Now value 2, 4, 6, 8. Now how do you put these values here? So if I say by row for, that means by column. So see, element got added by column. First column got the first values, first set of values. Then second
Okay.
column got second set of values. If I do by row equal to true, then first row will get the first set of values. You can see the difference here.
Right.
So it will be 2, 4, then 6, 8 here. Right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, like this. Okay. So this is how you can declare and create a matrix. Now, you can perform matrix addition, subtraction, multiplication using plus, minus. Okay. Matrix division
Mhm.
is also division easily. But
Okay.
matrix multiplication is also done using into sign, right? So let's say I created, let me call it as matrix 2. Okay. If I try to add mat 1 and mat 2, what will happen? Both are same size, right? Correct? So
Yeah.
I don't think there should be any problem, right? Because
No.
they are of same size, just that values are different. Okay, so each element will get added.
Mhm.
Okay, there is no difference between plus and minus, so minus will also be same. Okay. Here I want to do multiplication. Okay, the elements got multiplied.
Mhm.
Okay, now division. Each element got divided. To perform all these, you need to have same number of elements, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you want to have more than 2 dimension, list is 1 dimensional, vector is 1 dimensional, your matrices are 2 dimensional. If you want to have more than 1 dimensional, that's when you can use array. Okay,
Mhm.
and we don't use array much, but yeah, it's good to know how to use array. So again, you need to have a vector. You need to have a vector, which is then turned into array, right? So I'm going to say array, and then you give the elements, right?
Mhm.
So we need to give 3 dimensional. We can give 2 into 2 into 2, right? 8 elements we need to give. So I can simply say here, okay, instead of giving 8 elements, okay, why don't I say 1:8? Isn't it? Better it would be, right? Or 2:10. Okay. Now you give the dimensions. Okay. We call it as dimension equal to, again, this is a vector because we have to give more than 2 elements. So I'm saying 2 comma 2 comma 2. That means create a 2 into 2 into 2 array. Right?
Yeah.
So this is your row, this is your column, and this is your height. First dimension, and this is your second dimension. So if I want to get let's say, first you tell me, okay, which will be our 1 to 1. Which will be our 1 to 1th element, 1 to 1th element.
One to one.
Which will be your 1 to 1 element? So this is first row, second column. So see, this is your first row, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, row is this one, first row.
First row, second
First
column.
row, right? Second column, second column. Now, this is also your first row, second, this is also your first row, second column, right? This is
Yeah.
also your first row, second column. Which one? Because we
2.
said 1 This is the third dimension 1.
Yeah, 2.
So it should be 4, right?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. 4.
Right? First row, second column, and first x-axis.
First.
We should get 4. So how we do is, okay, we simply say here, the way we do it, we have done for vector. Print array 1, okay, 1 to 1, right? 1, 2, 1. So 4. I want all the elements of, here I'm saying first row. I want all the elements. Okay, I mean, that means I want first row and second row both. All the elements. Right, so you get all the elements, second column and first, second column, and first is 4, 5, isn't it? So you get 4 and 5.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how you can access the element from a list.
Arrays.
Arrays, yes. Now there is an extra column here, or not extra column, extra type here called as factors. Okay, now when we do the data type, and we'll discuss when we get into statistics. Okay, the first that we discuss, I think, I don't know, we may not have discussed. The first that we discuss is there are 2 types of data, numeric and categorical. Apart from text, of course, you have text, but you have numeric and categorical. Categorical means it can take any value, but from given category only, like gender, right? So when you say gender, of course, it can have more than one value, but it cannot have many values, right? It can only have male, female, region, north, south, east, west, let's say, right? Countries, let's say. Okay. Now, oh yeah, I mean, you have this, right? In discrete versus in you have this, discrete value versus
A continuous.
continuous. Okay, so your discrete, the categorical will come in discrete values. Okay, so yes, so and there are algorithms. When we do algorithm, right, we'll see it is very useful. Okay, Python does not have equivalent. Python does not have a special type 4 factor. So there is a lot of work we need to do, okay, in the algorithm side. But here, since it has factor, we can directly create as factor and algorithm will take care of it. Okay, that is not there in the Python. So yeah. So so when you enter the value, you enter as a factor only. Sorry, as a vector only. Later you have to say, oh, this vector is a factor. Okay, so let's say I create region, something like that. Okay, so I give values like north, south, this is also south, this is west, this is north, this is east, east. Let's say these are the values that we got. Now, I know this column is a factor because it's a region and you will see the values will be repeating here. So you have only 4 unique values and other values are repeating. Other are just one of these 4. So we need to convert this into factor. So let's say I ask, if I try to print here, is dot factor. And you say the regions. Okay. So what did you get?
False.
Because it is not a, it can be a factor, but we have declared as a vector,
Yeah.
right? So instead of C, if I give factor, okay, right, so what we, oh, C we missed. So your vector will now become, you see, your vector has become now factor. To store multiple values, you have to create vector, and then you convert into factor, it becomes factor.
Okay.
And by default, what it will do is, it will look at the alphabetical order, arrange alphabetical order, okay, and east will be given code 1, then comes north, then south, and west. West will be coded as 4.
Mhm.
We call it as levels. Okay. Did I give you any book to read?
Yeah, you did.
No, no, no. On R, not on on
No, you didn't give any book on all.
statistics. Okay. Yes, I have similar to that. I have a book. I'll give you. Okay, and there are examples are there. Okay, so I've got 2 books, one for R basic and one for the algorithms. Okay, so I'll give you the algorithm later one. First, I'll give you this one. Okay, I'll attach the book link, the same link, after the session.
Okay.
So with that, we have covered those basic stuff. Now we need to understand the working of data frames. Okay. So you said that you are good with SQL, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So all those SQL queries that you write, you can actually apply on data frame.
Okay.
Okay. So in your Tableau, not in Tableau, right? Power BI. Okay. But if you're able to crack how to do the integration of R with Tableau, then you can create a data frame, apply your SQL query there, and then can add that in the plot, in the graph.
Okay.
Okay. So data frame is to read the data as a row and column in um, in um, in R. Okay. So values are read like row and column. Okay. So so let's say yeah, I also need to show you how to read. Okay. So today I'll just give you introduction to data frame. Tomorrow when we meet, we will read using Excel. Okay, we'll read the data set and we'll read it as a data frame. Then we can do a lot more options, right? It will be a little more complex. So how to create? We already created right before
Yeah.
that we say data dot frame. Data dot frame will give us data frame. So let's say if I say data set 1 equal to, you say data dot frame, and you give all the values. So first column I want it to be, let's say, quarter. quarter equal to Q1. Q4. Okay. Quarter. Okay. And let's say I call it as fruits or something. Apple, banana. Okay. So this is data frame. So how many rows and how many columns it has?
It has 4 columns and 3 rows.
No, reverse you said.
Sorry, it has 3 rows and 4 columns.
Yeah.
See, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So your column names are there. So 3 columns and you have
4 rows.
4 rows. Okay. Now, now let's say generally, how the work will be, right? Mostly, and here, in machine learning, we'll see later how to do that. That's not a problem. Challenge is when you're doing, let's say, visualization or some kind of manipulation. So obviously, you won't be needing entire data, right? You will have to perform various where clause and things like that, right? So that we can perform using data frame itself. Okay, so let's say so first we look at rows. Okay, I think rows is easier to do that. We don't generally we want all rows, right? Generally, we don't filter on rows in actual, right? But so that's why first thing I'll show you how to do that on a row. So let's say I say print, okay, and um, let's say that's what I was thinking. Okay, let's say I give square bracket, right? So indexing always happens in square bracket. First, I need to give rows logic and column logic. Column logic I'll leave it blank. Rows I'm saying, okay, now again here, if you want to give individual values separately, you have to give it separately. I'll show you both how to do it. So let's say this is number of rows, right? I want only 2 to 3 rows. Right?
Okay.
Since I said 2 and 3, second and third row got printed here.
Okay.
Right? So now if you want to save it, obviously, let's say if you want to do multiple analysis, you can save it in another variable. Right?
Okay.
Shorter row or something. Right? But generally, we won't be using this, right? Because we want all the rows, conditions will be on the columns only, that particular column. So here again, okay, you can give print data set 1 bracket row comma column. So here I will say all the rows, or if you want, you can say 2, 3. But columns, let's say I want only second and third column. Okay, so row comma column. So column, I'm going to say column anyway he has 2 and 3, right? I'll say 2 comma 3. Right, so second column is revenue, third column is fruit. You get it.
Okay.
Okay, we'll stop here today. Tomorrow, when we meet, we'll talk about some operations that you can perform, like SQL kind of operations on this, right? I want only certain row, certain column, certain value. How to merge two data set, merge column wise, row wise. Okay, we'll do that, and then we will see how to read different file, how to read CSV file, how to read Excel file in R.
Okay.
Okay. Shall we end it
Okay.
here for today?
Yeah, I will end it here.
Yes. And yes, you do well, prepare well for your tablet stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow same time.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.